This is the best thing you'll see all week. In a sea of liberal celebrity killjoys like Eminem, we finally got to see Village People singer Victor Willis come out to fully allow and thank Donald Trump for using his song YMCA at his rallies. But there's more of a backdrop here than you think, because Victor is breaking away from the pop culture mold in a way that we didn't see before, and it's making much of the celebrity class pretty uncomfortable. Here's what Victor Willis wrote just a couple weeks ago on Facebook, saying in part, quote, "Since 2020, I've received over 1,000 complaints about President-elect Trump's use of YMCA. With that many complaints, I decided to ask the President-elect to stop using YMCA because his use had become a nuisance to me. In fact, I started noticing numerous artists withdrawing the President-elect's use of their material, but by the time I had said to my wife one day, hey, Trump seems to genuinely like YMCA and he's having a lot of fun with it. As such, I simply didn't have the heart to prevent his continued use of my song in the face of so many artists withdrawing use of their material. So I told my wife to inform BMI to not withdraw the Trump campaign political use license." Can you imagine that? There's not a lot of songs that become as immediately tied to politics like Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town or 50 Cent's Many Men, let alone a song like YMCA from over 4 decades ago. And guess what? The fact that Victor Willis was willing to risk backlash from a likely left-leaning segment of the fan base means that he's sending a strong signal to the rest of Hollywood and pop culture that he's not one to conform for the sake of it. He echoed a similar sentiment on a recent Fox News appearance, and it's already making some ripples in the industry.
I decided to allow the president-elect's continued use of YMCA because he seems to genuinely like the song. And, you know, so many other artists were stopping him from using their music. So I decided to contact BMI and told them not to terminate his political use license, because he seemed to be bringing so much joy to the American people with his use of YMCA.
Victor, it's not just the president. Every American, dare I say, everybody in the world loves your song YMCA. When you wrote it, did you envision it would have such staying power from sporting events to bar mitzvahs to weddings to dances, basically everywhere?
One never knows, you know. Time is the only thing that lets you know. So I never had any idea.
The question on everyone's mind now, will you play at the inauguration, Victor?
Well, if you were to ask me today if Village People would perform at the inauguration, I would probably say not, because we'd be concerned about endorsement. But however, if the president-elect, because the president-elect has done so much for YMCA and brought so much joy to so many people, the song has actually gone back to #1, and it's still #1 today. So if he were to ask Village People to perform the song live for him, we'd have to seriously consider it.
Well, perhaps you can never say never, and you know why I say that? The chief argument that the band had been giving for the last 3 years against allowing Trump to use the song was that they didn't want to get politicized. But now it seems like it has happened if they didn't want it at first or not, and Victor is going along. Even former White House press secretary Sean Spicer came out calling on Village People to perform for Donald Trump at the inauguration, but that remains to be seen in January. Right now, there seems to be a new onslaught by the left online against YMCA, and Victor Willis himself trying to troll Donald Trump for using a gay anthem in his rallies, but it's backfiring massively because Victor himself set the record straight in an epic rant on writing Twitter and interviews saying, quote, "Sadly, when the president-elect started using the song, people attempting to brand the song as a gay anthem reached a fever pitch as many used it to say, oh, Trump didn't know the song's a gay anthem. This was done in a matter to attempt to shame the president-elect's use of the song. And by the way, it wouldn't matter anyway. Trump is not anti-gay and he just would be fine with it. He's a New Yorker." But anyway, there was news floating around that the Village People might even start suing people in the media if they keep calling the song some kind of gay anthem, though Victor said this wouldn't.
First of all, what's the beef? Like, I can today say it's the gay anthem, but you're going to sue me on CNN if I say that in January?
Well, no, I do think the gay community should be aware that the lyrics are not referring to what they believe the lyrics are referring to that would make the song, in their minds, a gay anthem. such as illicit activity at the Y. No, I wouldn't be suing you over it, so don't trip.
Now, you can choose to believe that or not, because he and his band have been known to be pretty litigious when it comes to protecting their intellectual property as well as their reputation. Of course, every artist is, because we've seen something similar in the past few months as well, when Eminem sent a cease and desist letter to Vivek Ramaswamy to stop rapping his song Lose Yourself in political rallies. The Vivek campaign simply had to give in, saying they'll have to leave the rap into the real Slim Shady. Surprisingly, it could have gone worse when it comes to Victor Willis versus Donald Trump, because last year Victor was pretty vocal about how unhappy he was when Donald Trump brought out the impersonators of the band Village People out to Mar-a-Lago to dance to YMCA. Led to a lot of his fans to theorize that it was them performing at Mar-a-Lago, to which Victor even considered legal action against Donald Trump over a year ago.
What is your problem with Donald Trump using your music and lookalike bands and so on?
Well, first of all, let me again thank you for having me on the show. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, I'll say that the President Donald Trump, I like the fact that he likes my music. As far as him playing the music, I asked him a long time ago not to play the music, but at the same time, legally, he has a right to play it. I mean, anybody can play it that wants to. The particular problem came along when Donald Trump decided to have some people dress up like Village People,
right,
and have them at Mar-a-Lago performing to the song that I wrote and I was singing. And it made it become a situation to where I got a lot of calls and a lot of emails from people and fans, etc., that were like really upset by the fact that they thought that we were endorsing Trump.
But since the political sands have shifted, Victor knows he's on the winning team. Trump's use of these decades-old songs, including YMCA as well as 50 Cent's Many Men, have sent them to the top of the charts once again, and of course, raked in a lot of money in the process. As Victor wrote, quote, "The financial benefits here have been great, as well as YMCA is estimated to gross several $1 million since the president-elect's continued use of the song. Therefore, I'm glad I allowed the president-elect's continued use of YMCA, and I thank him for choosing to use my song." Wow. Now, while I'm sure that's not primarily why he allowed the use of the song, that's a very welcome side effect. And Victor made sure that no one had this new attack vector to use against him as supposedly changing stance when we saw the money coming in. And it was surely a very expected next charge against the singer from the media.
So, Victor, this seems like a pure Trump capitalism story. Initially, you had a beef with him using it, and then it sounds like you started to ring the register and you're like, what the hell? Let him do it.
Well, that was not, the money was really not the reason that I allowed him to do it. The reason that I allowed the president-elect to continue to use YMCA is because it seemed that he genuinely liked the song. And there were so many other artists that were stopping him from playing their music. So I called the BMI and I advised them to take away his, not to terminate his political use license, and that to let him do that, let him continue using the song because it was bringing so much joy to the American public each time that he used the song YMCA.
And that's why it's such a satisfying story of political evolution that ends in a win-win for both Donald Trump and Victor Willis. Plus, it comes at a time when most stars and artists get overly protective or frugal with their art, killing the joy that it's meant to bring in the first place. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this, because this is a new bridge between the world of art and politics that we could see carry forward in the years to come.